Damn news.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Sports Network, and you're watching another episode of Sports Minute. I am Ace on the West Coast, and we are joined tonight by none other
Can I say it?
All right, Vic, you want to say it? Go ahead, because it's no longer J Mac and Cheese. He's now changed it.
J Mac and Chili.
It's J Mac and Chili. How's it going tonight?
It's going pretty good. Let's get it done. Let's have some fun.
And I see you rocking the San Antonio Spurs shirt tonight also.
Yep. Represent. Because I'm not ashamed of my team. Because I don't root for the Detroit Pistons.
How can I not be ashamed? Like, I have to be ashamed of my team. Okay, so number two, of course, we are joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Will Polston. How's it going tonight?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Another day, another good section of topics here. I'm excited. I got some good stuff to talk about, some opinionated stuff, so that'll be fun. Can't wait to talk about one of the topics coming up. So here we go. Let's get it.
I have a notepad full
All right.
of information for our
You
topics.
have nothing.
Then, of course, we are joined tonight by none other than the queen of the quack attack, the Vic. How's it going?
It is all right. I'm having a good day.
You can see me.
Oh, yeah, she can see you. You can't see me. Okay, yeah, so the queen of the quack attack. And she's ready to go tonight. She's ready for these topics. And before we get to our
notepad
topic,
full of stuff. I researched
I'm
all
glad
week.
to hear it. But before we get to our topics, we got to do a little bit of housekeeping here. So, of course, the first thing we got to do is we have to talk a little bit about our sponsors, right? So the first sponsor we're talking about is nothing
J Mac and Chili.
other than the Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. So, Nate, you go ahead and take that away.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
I gotta fan myself every time.
The greatest commercial for a thing that you've ever seen. That is the greatest commercial ever. You got to cool yourself off after that.
Yeah, I gotta fan myself off after that. Woo!
All right, and then, of course, after Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, just in case everybody wants to know, yes, we've actually had some analysts that have ordered from Suzanne's Bling. Vic was actually one of them that's ordered from there multiple times. She got it fast, and she really loves the products. They also make great gifts. All right. And Christopher Brown, yeah, I know your team beat my team. That's a big shocker. We're the Detroit Pistons. Feel good that you beat the Pistons, bro. We have 3 wins. Congratulations. All right. So going on to the next sponsor that we have tonight. Nate, go ahead and pull up that little bit of Misty Meadows right there.
I was dancing and then
I don't mean to be that guy, but why has nobody corrected that yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get what you're talking about. I get what you're saying. But let me say this, because when that comes up, it really puts me in the mood for some barbecue sauce. And actually, tonight, I actually had some barbecue sauce. What is that? Okay, so
no offense, but if something has to put you in the mood for barbecue sauce, then you got a problem because you should always be in the mood for barbecue sauce.
Sometimes after I come home from a long day of work, I just listen to that Suzanne paparazzi ad and just pour barbecue sauce all over.
right, barbecue sauce. You got to get yourself all warmed up out there.
Especially on days when I don't have Sportsminute, because it just gets me ready. I mean, I'm just like,
lube yourself up with some barbecue sauce.
Smell like bacon jam, and all I can hear is J-Mac.
It moisturizes the skin.
All right.
It rubs the barbecue sauce on the skin.
Before we go too far off topic here, so J-Mac, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you can win one of those free shirts, huh?
Well, here's how you can win that free shirt like Madison did last month, Viewer of the Month. She's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing. She is commenting, she's liking, she's sharing, she's in the comments. That's all you got to do. And you could be the Viewer of the Month like Madison and like Kindle before her.
All right. Now, what if you can't comment and you don't have a chance to win one of those free shirts? How else can you get one of those shirts?
Oh, heck, that's easy. That's no problem at all. Get a hold of any of us here, any of us on the network. Doesn't even have to be anyone that – it could be guys behind the scenes also. Just remember that. $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Those sizes are available from small to 2X. Larger sizes would be a little more money. That's okay. Don't be shy.
All right. So now that we're past our little bit of housekeeping we have to do, I'll tell you what, we have some really good topics tonight. I've been super excited about these topics. There's actually one of these topics that I've been waiting to talk about for a while, and tonight I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pick it tonight because I've always wanted to do that topic. But before we get to that topic, our first topic that we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about our predictions for the AFC and the NFC championship games tomorrow.
Oh, Daddy, I'm so excited.
On Sunday, absolutely. So we know that the first game that happens tomorrow, it comes on at actually 12:30, and that would be, I should say 12:30 our time. Will's like, wait, that doesn't come on at 12:30. No. All right, but
It does not.
we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Green Bay Packers. And so you know that two of us here are Green Bay fans. I'm repping the jersey right now. That's why I wore it tonight, so I can rep my team and show you I'm ready for tomorrow. No? Will, you're saying no? No? All right.
Not her, not
I'm just
You know
trying
what?
to get my fingers to point
her.
the right way.
not her.
You know what? And that's fine. So since we are the Green Bay fans here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give Vic the opportunity to go first on this one. All right, Vic, you go ahead. You go first. Who do you have tomorrow?
All right. So I thought very long and hard about this all week since the topic was announced to us. I mean, it's been on my mind. And I got a notepad full of thoughts. But the easiest thought comes down to this. I hate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers more than I hate the Packers. So, go Pack.
Ugh.
But do you hate the Buccaneers more than you hate the Tennessee Titans?
No.
No.
Not a chance.
So
Mostly it's Tom Brady. I dislike Tom Brady. And I don't want him to get another Super Bowl so they can be like, oh, he's the GOAT. He's not the GOAT, okay? Tom Brady is not the GOAT. Just because you got rings don't make you the best. Just means you got on the right team at the right time. There's some guy in the NBA that has like 5 championship rings, and I can't even remember his name.
why are we
Because he's
bringing up?
Actually,
I hate
Robert
to
Ory
talk
has
about
7
this.
rings in the NBA, but we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And
I'm just
Bill
saying.
Russell has 11. So
Yeah. So rings don't
All right.
automatically make
Well,
you
anyway, yeah. So I don't
So-
want to get into the GOAT conversation because I
I'm
know
not.
how we all feel about it. Okay.
I'm not. Because we're going to do that later, apparently. So, I don't want Tom Brady to get another Super Bowl. I don't want it to happen. But I also don't want Aaron Rodgers to get it. But I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers win this game so that he can lose to the Kansas City Chiefs next week. Or the week after that, I don't remember. So I'm going Pack because I think at home, I mean, the Packers have been playing unbelievable. I mean, come on. Their offense is just lights out. I mean, they had 3 running backs last week go over close to 100 yards each. Was it? I don't know. Maybe I was watching the wrong game. I'm not sure. But their running game's coming out. Devontae Adams is just the guy is amazing. And Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's good. And I hate him because he's good. I hate him because he's good. That's the best way I can put it. So I think at home, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are going to take this by double digits. I don't think it's going to be close. I think he's going to make up for that loss they had during the regular season because he is PO'd that it happened. But it lit a fire under him and got them to where they're at. So go Pack.
All right, so Vic, I'm glad you mentioned that, and the reason why I said I'm glad you mentioned that is because I've kind of heard this weird thing to where when people were talking about the Saints and Bucks before that game last week, everybody was like, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter that the Saints beat the Buccaneers twice in the regular season. That doesn't matter because once you reach the playoffs, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different time. It's a whole new animal out there. However, those same people that said it does not matter that the Saints beat the Bucks twice in the regular season, they were saying that the Bucks beating Green Bay in Week 6, that did matter. And I'm like, wait, how can it matter for them, but it doesn't? That I don't understand that. Like,
it matters.
It doesn't matter.
It sticks in your craw. You got something to prove.
No,
and for the Pack, it lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers. That loss lit a fire under him, and he's just been lights out since.
No, it did. But what I'm saying though is that they're like, oh, since the Buccaneers destroyed him in Week 6, that means the Buccaneers are gonna come out and do it again because we saw it in Week 6 because it matters. I'm like, no, it does not matter. It's a whole new game. You're now in the playoffs. This is the NFC Championship. This is a whole beast. This is a different breed of animal right here. All right, Will, you go ahead and give me your takeaway. What do you think about this game?
Oh, you want me to talk about the Packers, do you?
Hey, I know where you're going with that. You're a Chicago fan, so I know what you have to do. But I also know you're not a biased guy. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I'm not, obviously. But I'm one of the guys that says what happened in the regular season doesn't matter. I don't believe it does. I don't believe that was the Packers team that you're going to see this Sunday. And in fact, I know it's not. I will say that confidently. But I can also say that Bucs team has taken strides since the last time you played them in Week 6. I think this team is clicking right now. I think this team is looking better than I would say the Packers are looking right now. Honestly, whenever it comes down to it, the Packers went and took on the Los Angeles Rams, but with an injured Goff and Aaron Donald basically not part of the equation. I had come on here on Sportsminute afterwards, and I had even kind of gave you a weird look, Ace, and you and I went kind of back and forth about, yeah, we beat the number 1 defense. I'm like, well, did you? Like, and we talked about that a little bit, and yes, it was an impressive game from the Packers, but at the end of the day, I don't think the weather is going to matter that much. And a lot of people might see that as weird, but like Antonio Brown's out for the game, that we know. But they just got Vita Vea back, which is going to be a huge addition. We haven't seen him in quite some time. In fact, he wasn't there for the first game between the Bucs and the Packers for that. So he's going to make a big addition to the defensive line. And the offensive line for the Packers is very solid. But that week against the Bucs, they allowed 5 sacks, and they had David Bakhtiari. They did.
He got hurt. He got hurt in the first quarter, so they did not have him for basically.
Okay. So he wasn't there for like 90% of the game. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, but we also haven't seen Aaron Rodgers get sacked that much in any other game, and so. If you're telling me this defensive line is getting healthier and David Bakhtiari is still not there, I understand the offensive line is playing at a much better point now. But I think that the defensive line of the Bucs still can overpower that. And I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers get pressured. We're going to see him get hit. And a lot of these players on the Bucs, though they play in Tampa now, have played in cold weather spots. Chris Godwin played at Penn State. Obviously, Gronk and Tom Brady both spent most of their careers in New England. When you look at the defensive side, Vita Vea is from Washington. We look at Ndamukong Suh, who played in Nebraska, Shaquille Barrett, who played at Colorado State, Levante David, who played at Nebraska. There's a lot of players from these cold weather states who have played in cold weather games before. The only concern I have on any offensive weapon would be Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a Texas kid, went to Texas A&M, and then played professional ball in Florida. So that I'm a little bit concerned about, but he's going to be up against Jair all day anyway. So he's basically not going to be a factor. So it's going to come down to Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller. I think they're going to do just fine. I think the Bucs are going to still find a way to win this game. It'll be close, but I think for the first time ever, we're getting the home hosting team in the Super Bowl.
Now, I will bring up the fact that you talked about Mike Evans against Jair Alexander, because that did happen the first time. And when it happened the first time, Mike Evans got 0 catches against Jair Alexander the first time that he covered him, 0. And so I'm saying that I think you're going to see it again to where Mike Evans is going to be a non-factor. However, when you look at this game, though, right now Kevin King is actually questionable. They don't know if he's going to play. So he ended up with an injury again in practice. So it turns out that whenever there's a big game, Kevin King is the guy who usually comes up injured. And so Kevin King, it happened to him again. But the one thing is, this past week we did go out and we did sign Tramon Williams. He is going to be active in this game. Tramon Williams knows this defense really, really well. He's played with Green Bay for a couple different stints. He played with them last year. Played for them actually well last year also. But when you look at Kevin King and Tramon Williams, is there much of a difference? Well, I don't know. To me, it's kind of a toss-up, and the reason is Kevin King really as bad as people are saying? And the only reason I'm saying that is because when you have a guy like Jair Alexander on the other side that the quarterbacks don't throw to him, so King gets all the action almost all game, is that really his fault that he's allowing so many yards and catches a game because nobody's throwing to Jair's side? That's not really his fault. Yeah,
Kevin King is a phenomenal corner, and before Jair got to the point where he's at now, he wasn't targeted as much. You know, they still tried to target Jair and everything, and you saw Kevin King's numbers be perfectly fine,
absolutely,
almost Pro Bowl level, really. He's a decent corner, but if he's going to be missing, I'd rather have Chris Godwin up against Tramon Williams, and then I'll take Scotty Miller over your nickel guy almost any day of the week. A lot of people are concerned about Antonio Brown being out, and yes, I understand he's an amazing route runner. Tom Brady and him have a great connection right now, but Scotty Miller was like Tom Brady's first love when he got to Tampa. They really connected early and often, and it was one of the first guys that he really developed a chemistry with whenever it came to timing and everything such as that. Scotty Miller was a very underrated receiver this year, and honestly, they could go 4 deep. We've seen it so far this season. You know, it's Tom Brady. He's going to spread the ball. Ronald Jones being out concerns me for Tampa Bay. I don't know if he's confirmed out, but even then, Leonard Fournette, I think Fournette can do enough to make it happen. We've seen him be a starting running back before in the NFL level. Let me just say this. We are already down here in Tampa. It's going to be crazy. I can imagine, you know, and this could be a huge year, possibly the biggest year in sports for a team if Tampa can find a way to the Super Bowl, because then they'd have a World Series contender, a Stanley Cup winner, and a Super Bowl contender, which is nuts. Anybody I can imagine coming up near that is Boston with the Red Sox, Bruins, and Patriots. But I think Tampa finds a way to get it done. My thing is whenever you have a guy like Tom Brady in that locker room, you play up to him. You know, you want to play up to his level. And it almost inspires you to be great. You know, you're looking at a guy who has 6 rings. You know, he's coming in and he's been considered one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, whenever it comes to passing yards, passing touchdowns. I mean, he's all over the leaderboards everywhere. He's made his stamp on NFL history. That's without a doubt. And it makes you want to play better, you know, because that guy demands a certain amount of greatness, you know, and I think that's happening in the Bucs locker room. I think that I've seen a couple of videos of them in the locker room and everything like that, and how they interact after games, and they just seem like they're a really well put together team. I think they've underperformed a lot for the regular season, but they're finally piecing it together here. And when it comes to the playoffs, man, I don't bet against Tom Brady. If Tom Brady's in, I don't bet against him. I just go for him. He always finds a way to make it happen, and so I don't think it's going to be any different here. I've got the Bucs in a close one.
All right, so touching on that one too, you're talking about our other corner. Well, our other corner is actually Chandon Sullivan, and he came from Philadelphia. If you remember, he's been decent for us. He's been decent. So it's just one of the things that is Chandon going to be able to step up in this game? I would like to see it. Is Tremont going to be able to step up in this game? Well, I want to see that too. Now, with me being a Green Bay fan, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to come out and blow out Tampa Bay, because I'll tell you what, that's not going to happen. When it's a game like this, I always have my reservations. I always have my concerns. It's just going to always be that, whether I'm a fan or not. I'm going to be realistically and tell you it's going to be a good game. And this is another game that you could see going either way. Does it help that Antonio Brown is out? Absolutely it does, because that takes away one of your deep threats. He was getting that deep ball going with Tom Brady. So that is huge aspect of it. Okay, so J-Mac, go ahead and give me your thinking on this one.
Well, I agree with you. It's going to be a close game. How can you really bet against Tom Brady? I mean, I'm going to, because I'm a Green Bay fan, and I'm not ever going to say they're going to lose a game. That's not being a fan to me. But it's going to be a good game. It's going to be whoever has the ball last with these two quarterbacks. I will say this: how do you beat Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? You run the ball and you control the time of possession. One of them's not on the field; they can't make any plays. So I think you're going to see a lot more running than passing in this game from both sides, because they're both going to try to control the game. And Green Bay ran for 288 yards last week when everyone said they don't have a running game outside of Aaron Jones. Well, they kind of proved that everyone wrong on that. So that's what you got to look at. It's going to be a running game. It's going to be time of possession. I got it coming down in the end. I got a field goal, and I don't think it's going to be high scoring as everyone thinks either. I got it like 2017 Green Bay, and it's going to be, a last-second field goal within the last 25 seconds of the game.
Yeah, that was actually something that I was going to say too, was actually the running game is going to be huge. Because if you remember in week 6, we actually didn't use A.J. Dillon all that much, because that was actually a game that A.J. Dillon was out in because of COVID. And so since A.J. Dillon has been more active in these games, now I think you're going to see a three-headed monster between Jones, Williams, and A.J. Dillon. And I think that that's going to make a big difference also.
Didn't Dillon get hurt last game?
Yeah, but they said he's probably going to play. They said he's leaning towards playing. So he injured his quad in the last game.
That's what Ronald Jones is dealing with.
Yeah. All right. So now we go on to our next championship game. We go on to the AFC side. We have the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And the interesting thing about this one is there has been a lot of talks about whether it's right that Patrick Mahomes plays in this game or not because of the concussion that he received. And I think everybody knew immediately that he was going to play. There was no way Patrick Mahomes was not going to play in this game. So when you look at this game, who do you give the advantage to? Are you going to give it to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, or are you going to give it to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense? Right now, Buffalo Bills playing probably some of the best football in the NFL. And so I'm actually leaning a little bit towards the Buffalo Bills, but it's going to be what defense can step up more. And if I had to trust the defense more, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills defense. It's close, but I'm going to have to trust their defense a little bit more. All right, so J-Mac, go ahead and take it away. What do you see happening in this AFC Championship?
Well, I'm with you that it could go either way, and whether or not Mahomes should play, he's probably going to. But I almost agree with Madison. I think you got to look at longevity here. Should you play in a game when you're in the concussion protocol? These days, probably not. And do you want longevity for a career? Do you want that championship this year? That's a tough call. It's always going to be a tough call. But I will say that to me, this game doesn't come down to defense. Both offenses can score, and I don't think that that's going to be an issue. To me, it comes down to the running game and which team you can trust with the running game more. And we've seen, if I had to give, tip the scales there, we have seen Edwards-Helaire run a little better this year than anyone for the Buffalo Bills. So I would give that advantage to the Chiefs, that they'll be able to wind the clock when they need to at the end of the half and the end of the game. I'm going to give them the slight advantage on that. So I'll tell you it's going to be another close game, but I think that in the end the Chiefs are able to kill it out. But I got it like 31-27. It's going to be a close game, but in the end the Chiefs are going to be able to get it done.
If you're talking about running games, it's not even close because Buffalo doesn't have a running game. Like, that's the biggest thing. They can't run the ball. So if Buffalo has to rely –
Josh Allen can.
That's it. That's it. But
I agree.
But if you put a spy on Josh Allen to slow him down in the running game, you don't have a running game outside of Josh Allen. So
right.
if you're the Buffalo Bills and you're like, oh, in order to win this game, we have to run out the clock, Buffalo can't do that. They cannot turn around and hand the ball off because they don't have that game. They're not built for that. All they can do is pass the ball, which you throw an incomplete pass, it stops the clock and it helps Kansas City. So I don't know if I could trust that running game because it's not even close in that aspect of a running game. All right, so Vic, go ahead and tell me what you think about in this game.
I like Kansas City. You guys, like you were saying, to run out the clock, I trust Kansas City more to run the ball. We saw last week they don't have to run the ball to run out the clock. Eric Bieniemy is like a master at. He'll pass the ball if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. He'll pass it. He's shown he's not afraid to do that. So Buffalo has to be on the lookout for: are they going to pass it or are they going to run it? What is this? What is this for? What is this for?
No, I'm looking.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Looking something up. My fault.
I'm like, why is he glaring at me?
No, don't mind me. I just can't read.
So and as far as Patrick Mahomes, I mean, I've read different things where it's like he was choked out, not a concussion, but I don't know.
No one's gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
No one's gonna know. If he's passed all the tests for the concussion protocol, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, he's passed all the tests to be cleared, and if he's comfortable in playing, that's his decision. And I mean, if he pass, if the doctors say he's good to go, he's good to go. I mean, he's not going to set this game out. There was no way he was ever going to set this game out. And I trust Kansas City's running game a little more than I do Buffalo's non-existent running game, because you also forget they got Le'Veon Bell as a backup if he needs to come in for Edwards-Helaire, who, by the way, this year was phenomenal. I see Kansas City pulling out. It's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like is possible, simply because they're gonna they're gonna play Kansas City football. They're gonna get a touchdown when they need to get a touchdown. They're gonna get a field goal when they need to get a field goal. It's just like you can just like write it down when they get the ball. Do we need a touchdown? Yep. All right, check that off because we're gonna get that. So I see Kansas City taking it, especially at home, and they're gonna have some fans in the stands that I've heard. So that's gonna help them out quite a bit. I see maybe a 31-24. I see it being pretty close. You're doing it again.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
I keep looking at stuff. Quit on me.
But I will say this, though. I think Andy Reid and Bieniemy is probably the only coaches that I can think of that would have taken the gamble that they took last week with a backup quarterback on a 4th and 1. Like that, I would not see a lot of coaches taking that chance. And so, but now you see this week, you see what's on the line. A Super Bowl is on the line. So if you know he's going to do that in a divisional round game, you can only think that he would take a chance in a championship game if it came down to it, just like he did last week. All right, so
Buffalo's defense has to be prepared for both.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
by the way, if Eric Bieniemy does not get the Houston Texans coaching job, there's something wrong in the NFL. Because that
They
dude
were
should be a head coach.
So they were actually interviewing Josh McCown today.
Oh my God.
So,
Another white boy.
all right, Will. So go ahead and give me your thoughts on this game.
There's a
Oh, well.
reason why they haven't hired a coach yet. It's because Bieniemy's coming,
Mhm.
and you can't hire Bieniemy till he's done. So,
Yeah.
but regardless, I'm going. God, is that what I look like? I'm sorry. No, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to be against the grain again. I'm against it in the NFC. I'm against it in the AFC. I think Buffalo right now is playing better than Kansas City is. Kansas City is currently with a banged up quarterback, a banged up running back, and their defense still doesn't impress me. Like they don't play anybody. Like they if you look at the records, the combined records of the teams they faced, it is terrible. It's worse than the Steelers this year, and we gave the Steelers so much crap for going 11-5 or 11-5 and beating nobody. And the Chiefs have played worse teams and haven't beat a team by multiple scores since week 8. They haven't played well. And now they have injury concerns between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Patrick Mahomes. It's concerning. I can imagine that their offense isn't going to be where it's supposed to be. Right now, we've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire finally practice. He's still dealing with a hip injury. In the cold, I guarantee you take one hit with a hip injury, you're going down. It's not going to be great. And all it's going to take is to rattle up Patrick Mahomes again, and then you have Chad Henne for the whole game. And I mean, is that reliable? Do you trust Chad Henne to come in and win this game? I don't. I don't care how long you've been in a system. I don't care how well you know that playbook. Patrick Mahomes, Chad Henne, there's a big significant difference between the two of them. The Buffalo Bills are playing at a ridiculous point right now. You know, we talk about how they haven't been able to run the ball, and that's true. Their running game has been pretty suspect all season. But let's look at the defensives they've played in the playoffs alone. They've faced the Indianapolis Colts, who have DeForest Buckner, probably one of the best defensive players all season this year, especially on the interior, completely snubbed for the Pro Bowl. And then they have the Baltimore Ravens, who have Calais Campbell, who's been one of the best to do it for multiple years now, and has one of the more successful defenses all season. I mean, they've still managed to do it. And not only that, but they also have managed to put up points. They put up 27 and then 17. You know, this is think about the Baltimore Ravens. They faced the Tennessee Titans, who have only been known for offense this year. They don't have a defense. Literally everything they know is about offense, and they only put up 13. You know, they were shut out basically. You know, they were really held down. They took away their strong suits. And I don't think Kansas City can do that. I don't think they have a strong enough secondary to take away the passing game from Baltimore. I don't think, again, this is another game to where weather's really not a factor for either team. You've got Buffalo who plays outside and Kansas City who plays outside. It's cold in both places. I can tell you the people in Buffalo know how to play in cold weather. It's just like Kansas City has not blown me away yet this year. I'm still not sold on them. And now, whenever you're dealing with nagging injury issues and potential to get re-injured, it's concerning for me. And I don't think they need a running game to win this game, really. I think Josh Allen can do enough with Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, and John Brown that it's not even going to need to be a situation where they need to run the ball. Now, can I see them again? I see this game being closer than it should be, but I don't see Kansas City coming back from multiple possessions like they did last year. I think if Buffalo gets up 2 scores, it's done. And that's going to be the end of it because their defense has been playing at a high enough level to do that. Their defense held Indianapolis to only 24. They held Baltimore to 3. They've been phenomenal. And so without their defense, they don't win that game last week. They outplayed their offense last week in Baltimore. And so Kansas City doesn't have a good enough defense to slow down the Bills and the passing game. I don't think the Bills defense is given enough credit for what they do. I've got Buffalo going to the Super Bowl.
All right, so I'll say that I'll agree with you on certain aspects of that, but the only thing I was going to say is that people are talking about the teams that Kansas City Chiefs have played and how we give Pittsburgh a hard time because they finished 11-5 with an easy schedule, and then we talk about the Chiefs. Okay, well the Chiefs beat these teams, but then we look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to finish the season and everybody was like, "Oh, Buccaneers were on a roll." But if you remember their last 4 games that they played the Falcons, they played the Lions, they played the Panthers, and then they played the Falcons again. And then in the first round of the
They should have
playoffs,
been on a roll.
they played Washington. And
Exactly.
then everybody's like, but Tampa Bay's different. Okay. But if you look at their 5 games, they didn't play anybody either. So that's just the point I was trying to say is like if we're going to talk up Tampa Bay about how good they have been with the teams that they've played, they haven't played anybody else any better than Kansas City or let's say Pittsburgh did in that aspect.
And you're not wrong. And Kansas City played some pretty successful teams since week 8, but whenever they played the Panthers and they only win by 2, when they play the Raiders and only win by 4, and earlier in the season lost to the Raiders, when they beat the Broncos only by 6 points, when you beat a quarterbackless Dolphins team by about 6 points, when you beat the Falcons by 3 points, it's concerning. You know, these are games that you should blow away if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're that Super Bowl caliber team that you were last year, there's no reason the Dolphins contend. I know they're a great defense, and I know that he got picked off 3 times in that game, but they should not be close. They don't know who their quarterback is. It shouldn't even be anywhere near a close enough game. The Falcons should never even smell the Chiefs. Like the fact that they only scored 17 is abysmal. And the fact that they kept it within 3 is even worse. It's just that the Chiefs haven't done anything to really impress me. And I know that they were missing Patrick Mahomes for basically the second half of the game. He got hurt earlier midway through the third quarter. And so we didn't see him for a while in that game. But and then the Browns were able to kind of make their way back. But at the same time, you know, they were doing the defense played very well against the Browns. They were able to hold the running game. They were able to kind of slow down what they do. But that's what happens when you have pretty one-dimensional teams. You know, if you're able to attack that spot, then you're going to slow them down. That's exactly what Buffalo did with Baltimore. But the difference is that Kansas City doesn't have the defensive ability to shut down the one unit that Buffalo has. They don't have the secondary to hold them back. They have Tyrann Mathieu, and that's it. And Tyrann Mathieu isn't going to stop all 3 receivers that are on that field. I understand if he may shut down a side of the field or maybe a receiver or 2, but he's not going to be able to do everything out there. Otherwise, I mean, there's not much in that secondary to be excited about. And I just think Buffalo finds a way to do it. You know, Buffalo is – but we're talking about – like, to give you an idea, that Miami Dolphins team was contending for a playoff spot. And keep in mind, they still didn't know who their quarterback was week 17 whenever it came down to it. They played the Chiefs within 7 points. And 7 points, 1 possession. And they were on week 17 facing Buffalo, going for a playoff spot, didn't play the starters for half the game, and lost by 35. 35 points. And half the game the backups played. You know, and the Miami Dolphins have an amazing defense. You know, they had Xavier Howard, who led the NFL in interceptions this year. Byron Jones has been an amazing addition as well. They've got a great pass rush. They're a very successful defense. And the Bills' backups put up 20-plus on them. And something the Chiefs barely were able to do. It's just concerning for me. There's no reason why in week 17, when you're contending for a playoff spot in a must-win situation against a top 10 defense in the NFL, that you drop 56. It's crazy. The Bills are running at an alarming rate right now. Their defense gets it done whenever they need to. Their offense is typically always there, minus last week. But again, whenever their offense wasn't there, their defense stepped up. I think the Bills are rolling on a different level right now. They've only lost to 3 teams so far this season. That was the Titans on a short week. That was the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to say by 1 possession, maybe more. It was probably more. And then the Cardinals on that Hail Mary pass where DeAndre Hopkins decided to high point 3 different defenders. So really they should honestly be looking at a 14-2 season themselves. And their 2 losses would have been back-to-back Titans Chiefs. So, but again, to me, regular season doesn't matter. I think you're going to see different teams. Right now, Buffalo's running on a different level. Kansas City's been playing a little underwhelming. I think Buffalo has what it takes to get it done.
And we'll definitely see. I think it's going to be a great, great game tomorrow. You know, everyone's talking about, I think both these games tomorrow are going to be phenomenal games, and I cannot wait to watch them.
And like Madison
right.
said, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo
Like
Bills.
the Buffalo Bills. That's right. So now, since we've touched on those games, the next topic that I want to, and this is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, because these are the type of movies that I love watching. And so we're going to talk about what we think our all-time favorite sports movie is. So J-Mac, go ahead, and I think I kind of know where J-Mac's going to go with this, but I want to see if I'm right. But J-Mac, go ahead and tell me, what's your all-time favorite sports movie?
Well, I mean, that's tough because you got different genres of sports movies. Like if you got the comedy versus the, based on a real story sports movies. And so it's kind of tough to look at all of them and try to pick one. If you wanted me to pick one, and I think that's what you're asking me to do here, to pick one movie, again, it's really tough. Of course, you got your comedy ones that come to mind, like The Replacements and all of that. But for me, it really comes down to my favorite sports movie was Field of Dreams. And I think it's because growing up in the Midwest and having cornfields and playing baseball in the backyard, in the cornfields, when we actually cut a diamond out and did what they did in the movie, not with all the lights and stuff, but, just the diamond and just remembering all that. And so Field of Dreams was definitely near and dear to my heart as far as making a kid be like, man, baseball players could come play in my cornfield, so Field of Dreams for me is the best sports movie of all time.
All right, so Will, Madison says that she knows what yours is. She's saying, I know Will's. That's what she's saying. She left a comment that said, I know Will's.
Madison,
She knows, Will. She knows.
Madison, I'll go last. Put your prediction in the comment.
Okay, so Madison, he wants you to put what you think his is up
now,
there.
I
So
do have a list. I do have 6 movies written. I guarantee she'll get it on one of those 6, but I don't know if I'm kind of with J-Mac. I don't know if I know my favorite sports movie.
Right.
Like, she'll probably get one on the list. I almost guarantee that. But yeah, I don't know if she knows.
All right. So then we'll come back to Will. So the Vic, what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
Juwanna Man. No, I'm kidding. That's not my favorite.
I was like,
really?
Okay. I mean, we'll go with it, but okay.
Then there was silence. And then there was silence. No, I thought about this. I thought, what if I want to watch a sports movie? What do I want? I want history. I want comedy, and I want something that happened that really happened. And maybe because I'm a girl, because there's no crying in baseball, because it's a league of their own. That is my favorite movie. It introduced us to Gina Davis, Madonna, Lori Petty, Rosie O'Donnell, John Lovitz, Tom Hanks. I mean, come on. It's got comedy. It really happened. This was a real thing. I mean, every aspect of it makes you just feel good about life. And, it has the weird, the gotcha ending that you always, that you need in a sports movie. And it happened. So it's like, you can't make this up because there's no crying in baseball. And Tom Hanks is just amazing, and I just love this movie. If I have to watch a movie, if I could pick 5 movies to go with me on a desert island, A League of Their Own would be in that top 5.
And Vic, when you guys are talking about that, and even you, J-Mac, when we talk about the different genres of sports movies that there are, I like so many different genres of sports movies, but when it comes to my favorite of all time, I do like basically the ones that are based on a true story, because I like to see the past history of things that have happened and exactly how it happened. And I think that it hits near and dear to our heart and shows us, hey, you know what? This is what this team has gone through and throughout their college career. So with that being said, I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this one. So my all-time favorite sports movie, and to me, it's not even close. My all-time favorite one is We Are Marshall. I've loved that movie because it really shows you what they went through as a college, basically losing your entire team and basically your entire coaching staff, and you have to restart from the very beginning, basically with freshmen. and finding people that haven't really played. Like you go out and you have to find a soccer player that you're like, hey, you can come in and be our kicker. Then you find a basketball player that you're like, oh, he can jump. Let's bring him in to be a tight end. Okay, let's try and sign all these freshmen and petition to allow them to play. So I think that's really why I enjoyed that movie so much, is because at that point we can step back at that time when people are like, okay, how was Marshall so bad for so many years? Well, this is why. Look at exactly what they went through. And after this happened, there was no coaches that wanted to coach this team. They had one coach that basically was like, I'll take this team over. I'll start from scratch. And that's basically what he did. So to me, that's why that's my all-time favorite sports movie. All right, so now, Will, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready now? All right, Will.
Well, I mean, yes and no. So I saw Madison's comment that she's going to guess The Sandlot, but he's going to tell me I'm wrong. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because it's on my short list. It made the list here of movies I was going in between. Sandlot's like the sports movie of my childhood, the one that I grew up with. It's like probably the one I've seen the most whenever it comes down to it. And I love Mess Around's suggestion of The Water Boy. It's also on my short list. I love that movie so much. It's so good.
Mom said.
My alligator's got on his teeth and no toothbrush. I mean, it's so good. It's so good. And while I'm here, I can't choose. I really can't. And I've already said two, so I'll say all the other ones on my list too. So the bench warmers. I love the bench warmers. It's so funny. I come back to it today. You're going to notice that most of these are comedy based. Little Big League was on there too. I love Little Big League. Such a good one. A kid managing a baseball team, just absolutely awesome. And some of the lines in that, some of the lines in the commentary for that are just amazing. If you listen to some of the play-by-play announcing talking about like, oh, he's only batting 200 on the season, but in even numbered Wednesdays in May, he's batting 500. So he's got that to look forward to. That's awesome. I didn't even think of dodgeball. Dodgeball was a good one. Now I'm mad. But damn. Probably what it came down to is probably my top two movies. And when we're talking about it, all the ones I've said so far are comedy. So I've got one that's comedy and one that's more serious. And so the comedy one, while I'm still on it, is Major League. Major League is such a good movie. I love that movie. Everything about it is just, it's so funny. It's so quotable. It's a good story. The fact to see basically, I mean, I know it's a fake story, but to see the Indians put together a team of just delinquents and has-beens and never will be's and come together and win the pennant in the AL Central, that's awesome. And actually the American League. And then Trouble with the Curve. I don't know if anybody, any of you have seen that. Great movie. It's Clint Eastwood. And he's losing his he's losing his sight, and he's learning to become. He's teaching his daughter how to become a scout, and it's just awesome the way he's scouting players and just watching them. Just the small things that you watch that go into scouting players is phenomenal, and it has a great ending for anybody who hasn't seen it. 42 is a great movie. But yeah, no, Trouble with the Curve and Major League, probably my two genre splits. But baseball, always.
I want a genre split then. If he gets one, I get one.
Sorry.
Okay, well, no, if you have a genre split, then go ahead and tell me.
Remember the Titans.
Fine.
Remember the Titans.
Good movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a serious one. I'll go that.
Yeah, and it's funny though too, because I do agree with Nate on one of his when he said Rudy. I love that movie. Rudy was a fantastic movie also. That I would say was probably one of my favorites also. And it was just because it's like one of those real life stories that you have to, that you can enjoy. It's there. I enjoyed it. Okay. So J-Mac, would you say
real? Don't forget about Air Bud.
Airbud.
And Space Jam. Space Jam. That was real.
Wow.
That's a true story. That's a true story.
But the other one I was gonna say too that came to mind about a good one was actually Moneyball. I actually enjoyed Moneyball.
That's a good movie.
Also because it showed you what Billy Beane had gone through, and actually shows you that he could have been the richest GM ever, but he turned down the contract to stay with the Oakland A's. So
Don't
J-Max
forget about Tony Danza in the garbage picking, field goal kicking
Philadelphia phenomenon. Yes. So J-Max, since we all did our runners up or whatever, do you have another one in mind that was one of your favorites?
Yeah. It would have been a replacements for me if I was going comedy. And it's just like the last one of the last scenes, the last time they're in the huddle, and Shane Falco is talking to him. I use this to this day, by the way. I use this saying. I would say something classy and inspirational, but it's just not our style. So, and then he goes on to be like, pain heals, chick stick scars, glory lasts forever. So it's a quotable movie too, like Will says that, quotable movies are probably the best. And Dave Esparza, you just said basketball, and a lot of people think that movie's dumb, but I love that movie actually. Because I've dreamed about, man, if I could invent a sport in my driveway and then it just make me millions of dollars, like, wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, so good.
That's where Carlin came from.
So I will tell you, I just kind of threw this topic out there because I've been wanting to do it for a while. But I will say I actually enjoyed this topic because I think since we're all sports fans, I think we all enjoy watching those sports movies.
Absolutely.
Like there's so many of them that I could watch over and over and over and over again because I'm like, it's just so good. Every time Moneyball's on, I watch it. The Replacements, I watch it. Remember the Titans, I watch it. Invincible is another one. I watch that one whenever it's on. So there's just so many of them that I'm like, man, I got to watch them whenever they're on.
I'm going to watch Major League tonight just because of this.
Have to.
Talladega Nights.
Have to.
A Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Nothing gets me more than whenever he's there. Willie Mays Hayes is having to do 20 push-ups for every pop-up he hits, and he comes back in after the preseason game and he goes 200 push-ups. How am I supposed to hit the ball when I can't lift my arms?
right. I love that
every time. So many good lines from that movie. Well, J-Mac put a great one in the comments, but I can't say it.
Yeah, we can't say it out loud on the live.
Goon. If you haven't seen Goon's a great movie.
Well, speaking of the push-ups, if you remember in a spring training game, he actually dropped down after hitting a pop-up in a game. He's doing push-ups in the middle of a game, and I'm like, that's awesome. You're just going to drop down and do it right here. Crap, I popped it up. I got to do my push-ups.
Oh, man. There's so many quotes I have from that movie. That and Dodgeball. I'm so mad I forgot Dodgeball.
How rude.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Nobody. Don't forget Bull Durham. Bull Durham. We can't forget about that one either. Yeah.
All right, meet.
Quick question, not off topic. Is there enough sports in it to count Forrest Gump as a sports movie?
No.
I didn't think so either. That's my favorite movie of all time. That's like numero uno, but it's not enough sports for me to include it.
Hey, Brandon. By the way, Brandon Herrera, thanks for that one because that's a great line in that movie. A lot of people forget. You may run like Maze, but you hit like his sister.
It's not sister, but that's an amazing line. You may run like Hayes, but you hit like.
Yeah. All right. So going away from this topic, because I'll tell you, I could talk about this topic all night because I love these movies. There's so many quotes that I could sit here and quote and tell you are my favorite. But, we just have other topics that we got to cover, and there's still some good topics. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is what we believe is the most impressive female record there is when it comes to female sports. And so, Vic, you go ahead and you tell me, what is the most impressive female record to you?
Well, I researched this topic all week, Ace, and let me tell you, it was tough to determine which record and how to determine, like, are we doing like world records or like best season? And
Whatever you feel.
I'm tired of not being biased. I am going Sabrina Ionescu, triple double leader of men's and women's basketball. Period. I'm going with the O. That is the most impressive record to me because it's not only women's basketball, it's men's. She has more triple doubles than any male basketball college player ever. She is the ish. And I'm not holding back the bias anymore. I'm going with it because I researched this a lot. I just know it. I just know these things.
No research necessary.
No research necessary because I watched it. I watched the game where it happened, and it was like this. And I mean, you guys don't know the feeling, but as a woman, we don't get a lot of these moments. We don't get a lot of the spotlight. We don't get a lot of things. But when she made that record, it was like it just lifted, just made me feel like, oh my God, a girl, a woman, a female athlete did this. She dominated her sport, and she's better than any male college athlete because she has more triple doubles. And that's, I mean, you can say she's not the highest scorer, but I mean, come on, triple double. That's like a big thing. That's like all around player, and she did it. She owned it. She made it hers, and no male athlete's ever going to touch it because they don't stay long enough in college to do that. To be honest, they don't have the commitment and the loyalty to stay to college 4 years and do that. So that's my female record. I mean, I could have gone a lot of ways. I could have gone Simone Biles. I could have gone Chloe Kim, but nope. Sabrina Ionescu, most triple doubles by a male or female college athlete.
So
Period.
I have to know, as soon as Vic said that, I kind of saw Will's expression like, so I have to know, Will, did she take yours? Is that where you were going? Okay. I was just curious because he kind of had that expression like, oh crap.
No, I was excited for her to finally go back to the O.
Oh,
and okay. I did pick that instead of Simone Biles because Wednesday I chose Simone Biles as having the most dominant season. So I didn't want to go back to back like that. So I went. Oh wait,
fair enough.
Proud of you.
That's fair enough. All right, so J-Mac and Chili.
Weeks of research.
Who would you say the most impressive record?
I would say for me the most impressive female record is Jackie Joyner-Kersee in the heptathlon. She set the record in September 23rd to 24th, 1988. Her score was 7,291. Now, let me explain why this is an impressive record. The record before that had been posted in 1984, and that had been 6,946. So she beat that record by more than 300 points when she beat that record. And no one has gotten close to that. The closest person behind her is Carolina Klüft. I know I messed up that last name. It's Swedish, but it's 7,032 points is the closest anyone's gotten since then. So she's held this record since 1988. 32 years she's held the record, and no one's gotten within 200 points since then. And she beat the record by over 300 points when she beat it. So for me, that's impressive. That it's like those dead ball era records in baseball from the early 1900s that no one's ever going to beat. I don't think anyone's ever going to beat this record from Jackie Joyner-Kersee. It's unreal. It's just an unreal record, and I don't think anyone's going to get there.
Untouchable.
So it's interesting because you guys went a full season, which is good. I kind of wanted to see how people were going to go with these records, but with me, I actually just went one game when it came to the most impressive records ever. And the only reason I did that is because I actually went to the 2015 Women's World Cup game. And she goes by the name of Carly Lloyd. And the only reason I picked this is because J-Mac, and you might remember this too, and Will, you might too, and maybe Vic. But if you remember back in 2015 when she scored 3 goals in the first 16 minutes of a World Cup game,
ridiculous.
Like, I remember playing soccer when I was in high school, and our team was so bad that for us scoring three goals,
and the season was good.
Like, it took us like 4 games to score 3 goals. No. And Jamie, I can tell you, like, our team was horrible. Our team was terrible. And
I had to suffer through watching that.
And it would take us like 4 games to add up to 3 goals for 4 games, a total. And so when you look at what Carly Lloyd did, so when you look at Carly Lloyd scoring 3 goals in 16 minutes, I don't know if that's going to be a record that's going to ever be touched. Like, that is so impressive. Some people don't even score 3 goals total throughout the whole World Cup. So 3 goals in 16 minutes? Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't think that record's being touched anytime soon. All right, Will, go ahead and give me your most impressive.
So 2 of you went for 1 game. Or, well, no, 2 of you went for an entire season. 1 of you went.
Mine was a career.
Career. My fault. Okay, so you went for a career. J-Mac went for the what was it? The what's it?
Heptathlon.
All right, just wanted to make sure I got that right. Okay, so let's talk about just pure dominance whenever it comes down to it. And nothing is better for a team than getting a win. Well, I'm going to go 3 consecutive weeks at Division I college softball. And nothing says dominance like 60 straight appearances as W's. And that is former J-Mac Spotlight Player of the Week, Jenny Finch. 60 consecutive appearances getting a W with no losses. Folks, in 2001 alone, she made 32 appearances and went 32-0. Okay, she started 29 of those games. 27 were complete. 19 were shutouts. Okay, with a .54 ERA. Over a span of 3 seasons, almost 2 full calendar years, from April 2019 to April 6, 2002, she did not lose a game. That's ridiculous. 60 straight appearances of W's every single time. Not a no decision, not a loss. 60 straight W's. That's ridiculous. It'll never even be touched. It's nowhere close to even being sniffed. That's pure dominance to me. That's super impressive.
So I like it
smell
because
60 wins. You smell like 1 win. Okay, get out of here.
I was a pitcher. I was a softball pitcher. I was pretty good.
I like it because when it comes to topics like this, I always tell myself that I'm going to stay away from college softball because I know Will's going to go there. Like, that's normally his thing.
My forte.
He's been going there every week is college softball. So I'm like, I'll just get that one to Will then, and I'll hit up a different sport so Will can hit on his.
I'm not going to come out here and say some Simone Biles or say some Jackie Joyner Kersey and come say something that's going to be taken, okay? I'm going to come out here and say something completely out of the blue random, and I'm going to make sure my stat's not taken, and that's an impressive record.
No, I mean, seriously, though, Will's not wrong. Like, college softball, there's these girls, I'm sorry. I'm not standing in the batter's box.
They're animal. They're beasts, man. They're beasts.
They are just – they will throw it in there against anybody, and they don't care who you are hitting the ball. They don't care. I've seen Jenny Finch. They come up and they're like, they tell her before the game, they're like, the person in this game is the career leader, NCAA leader all time for home runs. Good luck. And that girl went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and didn't even have a foul tip in that game against Jenny Finch. Think about that for a minute. That's insane.
I was getting scouted to go play baseball whenever I was in high school, and I have faced junior college softball pitchers and not touched a single ball. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I even did it from like normal softball length on a softball field, but they only throw, the upper echelon of pitchers throw in the mid 70s. That's a shorter, it's 30 less feet. The thing, or it's 15 less feet. That thing's flying at you. That thing looks like it's about 110, and you don't have a chance. I mean, it's nuts. I gained a lot of respect for softball players after I took a swing, took a couple daddy hacks at one, and just looked like an absolute fool. I can't imagine facing somebody like Jenny Finch. No, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah,
I have
and
an
so
honorable mention. Can I
Okay.
have an honorable
Go
mention?
get a coffee with her.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vic.
You go get a coffee with her.
I might. That'd be nice.
So
Jenny Finch, if you're watching.
in my research, I found a world record that I want to mention. I don't feel has gotten the respect that it deserves. Olga Liashuk from the Ukraine.
Did you get that right, or did you butcher that?
I got it right.
Okay, good. Just check.
She crushed 3 whole watermelon between her thighs in 14.65 seconds. Nobody could beat that. I dare you to try to crush 3 watermelon in 15 seconds between your thighs. Come on, man.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Well, get on that.
So just really quick, my final question for this topic is because we sit here and we talk quite a bit about women's softball and how impressive these women are when they play softball. So at what point do we need to consider and be like, you know what? Maybe they should get a shot at the MLB at some point. Because if we're talking about impressive stuff, at what point do we need to break that barrier?
They're regular size, Madison, not mini watermelons. They're regular size.
What we need is a professional softball.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
but I'm
Yes,
saying
yes.
since we don't have that,
Then we make that, okay? Though I'm tired of seeing great college careers go to waste because they have nowhere to go after college.
Exactly.
And I understand it's the MLB, but at the same time, sure, like it's completely different sports, and because I can hit a baseball with the best of them. Okay, well, not the best of them, but like the best at my time. I could hit a baseball with the best of them. I can't touch a softball. Okay, but if you flip it the other way around, they can typically hit okay, and it's a completely different pitching mechanism. There's just different things about their sport that are just too different from baseball. With the slap hitting, with the smaller field, with the different pitching mechanics, it's a little too different to where I wouldn't want to see women. This sounds really terrible. I wouldn't want to see women in the MLB. I just want them to have their own league. I would watch professional softball. Like, if there was a professional softball league where Jenny Finch could have gone after she graduated college, where Rachel Garcia from UCLA can go after she graduates college, and I can watch that, dude, I'd bet on it. I'd watch it. I'd have merch. Like, I would watch professional softball. It's such an entertaining game. Like, it needs to be recognized more. It needs to be.
I agree with Will. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with saying that at all, because for years we watched these great college women basketball players that had nowhere to go in a professional league, but they were good, just as good, if not better, than some of the guys that were playing in the NBA. And what did they do? They came up and they developed a league, and it's the WNBA. And I'm saying, if you've never watched the WNBA, you should. It's just as entertaining as the NBA is. And the thing is that we can be okay with having just women having their own thing and men having their own thing. That's okay. In my opinion, that's okay.
Yeah,
I don't see anything wrong with that. We don't need to gel, but yes, we need a professional league for softball. Let's let these girls.
You can be a college athlete and play female soccer and go on and play professionally. I was the commentator, the play-by-play commentator for our student radio at my university. You can do that, and we've had girls from our school do that. You can go on from collegiate basketball and go join the WNBA. You can go be a college tennis player and go be a tennis player in professionals. You can't do it with softball, and that's ridiculous. And softball, in my opinion, yes, I'm a baseball fan, but softball is by far the most entertaining of all of them. I would watch softball all day long. I watch collegiate softball whenever it comes down to the tournament, and I don't even need to like the teams. I'll watch 2 random teams I don't care about play softball just because it's entertaining. And there's different factors about from baseball that I just don't think the merge would work. But if they had their own league, I'm all for it, and I'm right there. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm there. Let's get that moving. I'm here for it.
All right. So, like I said last week, I'm glad that we have these topics of women's sports because this is huge to touch on. But now let's go ahead. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is who we believe is the top 3 hockey players of all time besides Wayne Gretzky. We cannot put Wayne Gretzky in this conversation because we all know that when it comes to hockey, Gretzky's
the actual goat.
He's the actual goat. And
An actual goat.
Yeah,
no,
it's not.
There's no. The thing is, there's no debating that one. Will and I have had this conversation over and over again. There's no debate. Like people could say, "Oh yeah, but right." Will brought this up, I think 2 or 3 times, and I'll bring it up a 4th time, and we'll bring it up a 5th or 6th time.
It's gonna keep happening.
Wayne Gretzky would be the GOAT if he never scored a goal in hockey. Think about that for a minute. He would still be the best ever if he never scored. That is a GOAT. That's a guy so far above everyone else that's never going to be touched. That's a GOAT. I'm sorry. There's no question.
He said, you know what? I'm going to score 870 times. Forget it.
Exactly.
Which is the most goals of all time too. So
exactly.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So when we look at the top 3 hockey players behind Gretzky, there was some good names behind him, and some. What?
I said there's so many.
Oh yeah, so that's why I said, this is based on opinion of who you believe is the top 3 behind him. So when I looked at the top three behind him, the first one that I went with was actually Maurice Rocket Richard. Yeah, because how could you not? He's got a trophy that's named after him. When you it's the regular season goal scoring trophy. So when you have a trophy that's what's the comment? You make 100% of the shots you don't take. Exactly.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Exactly. So
great reference.
You got to think he was the first to score 50 goals in a season, and the first to score 500 goals in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He led the league in scoring 5 times and finished with 544 career goals. Now, was it Gretzky's status? No, but it's still impressive. I mean,
but nothing is because he's the GOAT.
Exactly. But you got to put him in there as one of the top 3 behind Gretzky because, I mean, come on. I can't get past the fact when you have a trophy that's named after you, a scoring trophy, that's impressive. And then after that, I actually went with Mark Messier. And the reason why I put Mark Messier in there.
Oh, before you
Messier.
I was going to say, before you go on, Messier.
Messier. I've always butchered that guy's name. Always.
French Canadian.
But anyways, so he was a natural born leader in hockey. Like when you look at a leadership role, he was there. And he led the league in scoring 5 times and finished with he ranks 3rd all time in scoring in points with 1,887 points. That's a high mark. Very, very high. And 2nd all time in playoff points, which at 295. He won a total of 6 Stanley Cups. He won 5 with the Edmonton Oilers. 5. And he actually took the New York Rangers team in 1994 to the Stanley Cup, and they won it. And that was their first one in 54 years. So I put him on there right behind Gretzky at number 2. And then number 3, this might not come as a surprise to you guys, but I actually went with Gordie Howe. I had to go with Gordie Howe because Gordie Howe was one of my favorites of all time. I mean, come on, this guy was scoring goals at the age of 52. 52 years old, and this guy's on the ice and still scoring goals. Howe scored 801 goals in 26 NHL seasons and 174 more in 6 NHL World Hockey Association seasons. I just can't get past the point that This guy was 52 years old and still on the ice, still scoring goals. Now, the interesting thing about Gordie Howe is I've even had somebody that when I told them that Wayne Gretzky was the true GOAT in hockey, which isn't even close, they try to tell me that you could almost put Gordie Howe in front of him. And I'm like, you cannot put Gordie Howe in front of Gretzky. You can't. I mean, yeah, what Gordie Howe achieved was incredible, especially at the age of 52. But when you look at career numbers, no, you can't put Gordie Howe up there. You just can't. And keep in mind that they have a hat trick that's also named after Gordie Howe too, which, if you guys remember, when it came to the hat trick, it's a goal, an assist, and fighting, a major penalty fighting. That's what they call the Gordie Howe
hat trick. Mm-hmm.
So if you get one of those, they go, guess what? You just got the Gordie Howe hat trick. So you have a hat trick named after you. And it's funny how people say that Gordie Howe was one of the most temperamental guys in the league, which I'll tell you what, he was. I mean, he had a temper. His thing was he loved to fight. And if you remember, J-Mac, I think we were watching this on a show once to where the guy's like, oh, I went to watch a fight in a hockey game broke out. Because when you go to watch a hockey game, that's what you see a lot of. So if you actually want to see fighting in a true sport, you're going to see it in hockey. And I think that's why people often overlook the art of hockey, because people go, how can you watch hockey? It's so boring. Not really. I mean, you get to see everything in hockey. You see fights. It takes a lot of talent to play hockey. And imagine a guy that has a hat trick named after him for fighting at the age of 52 on an ice rink, fighting dudes that are 20, 23, 24 years old. I'm sorry, but that's impressive. All right. J-Mac and Chili, go ahead and take it away.
Well, I have to agree with you on the number 3, Gordie Howe. And just to add more, I mean, his nickname is Mr. Hockey, so that just tells you everything. And he has over 800 career goals, like you said, and only Gretzky can say that. So, about 32 seasons, 52 years old. I'm not going to beat a dead horse because you already put most of it up there. But yes, the Gordie Howe hat trick, we all know that. But yeah, he epitomizes hockey. That's what you think of Wayne Gretzky, and then you think of Gordie Howe, in my opinion. And then number 2 after Gretzky for me, and I might get some slack back for this one, but I'm going to tell you, for me, it's Mario Lemieux.
Not a bad choice.
Because he did miss 3 seasons in the middle of his career, and unfortunately that was due to some health issues, and that's really not his fault that he missed in the middle of his prime. But remember, he came close to cracking that 200-point mark in the 88-89 season with 85 goals and 114 assists. So it was great. And you have the Mario Lemieux Foundation, which strives to fund cancer research. That's something else he's known for. By the way, a little known fact about Lemieux, he scored 282 points in 70 games in the last season of it would be what considered college in America, but it's juniors. So it was the Laval Viasons. He scored 282 points in 70 games. 70 games. He had 282 points. That's insane. And number 2 for me behind Wayne Gretzky, and because this next guy blazed a trail. It was a trailblazer for sure. For the defenseman, anyone know who it is yet?
Defenseman?
Defenseman, yes.
Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr. It is Bobby Orr.
Absolutely.
He still holds the record for the most points and assists in one season by a defenseman. 139 points and 102 assists in a season. And he only played 10 years, but they call it the Bobby Orr Trophy for being the best defenseman in the league. Like, how does it get any better than that? Like, like Ace has said, a trophy named after you, you should be considered one of the greatest ever. So that's my list.
A trophy or a hat trick that's named
Or a
after
hat
you.
trick, yes.
Right?
Either
You
or.
can't- Yeah. When you have those named after you, how can you not be on this list? I mean, honestly. All right. The Vic.
Well. A lot of research was put into this. A lot. And at number 3, I am going with, are you ready? Guy Lafleur. Bet you didn't know who that was, did you?
Well, it's Guy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I said guy. That's how I say it because I'm
It is
American.
Guy.
I play for Montreal Canadiens. So. Sorry about that. The wind blew, so she's barking. Played in the 70s, early 80s. Scored at least 100 points by a right winger. I'm gonna just hold on one second. I'm gonna mute myself.
All right, so Will, why don't you go ahead and go on? Why Vic is taking care of that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you came to me because I need to get mine out before all of mine are taken. I'll start with Gordie Howe. I mean, obviously, you two have both touched on it. Gordie Howe is amazing. 6-time MVP, 6-time Art Ross Trophy winner, which is the point leader in the NHL. You guys harped on it. 32 years in professional hockey. Played in the NHL from 18 to 42, then ended up playing again whenever he was 51 and put up 41 points in an 80-game season at the age of 51 and played every single one of those games. That does not get enough credit to do it at the age of 51. Ridiculous. Second all-time in goals, 10th in assists, 4th in points all-time, 7th in plus-minus. He lights up the scorebook. And like J-Mac said, he's the only other player in NHL history with at least 800 goals, which is crazy to think about. The only 2 players have done it. You have to put him up there just for that sake alone. Kind of disappointed that J-Mac took this one. I was hoping to get it. But Mario Lemieux, I think Mario Lemieux is amazing. He did misspeak. He did not just miss 3 seasons. He missed 4. He missed the ages of 29, 32, 33, and 34 during his seasons. And not only that, but he missed the age of 29, came back and played for the age of 30 and 31. And led the NHL in points and goals those seasons, and then had to miss 3 consecutive years due to health reasons. Unfortunate for Mario Lemieux. He ended at 690 goals in his career. Could have been up there in top 10 easily. He finished 11th in goals, 12th in assists, 8th in points combined. Just phenomenal guy. I actually looked it up for most points in a single season. Of the top 13, the only names you will see are Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Whenever it comes to the top 13 most points in a single season, it's only those 2 names up there for the record. And my final one is a little bit different. Hasn't been said yet, but I have to give the goaltender some love. So Dominik Hasek. Dominik Hasek got a late start to his career. He didn't become a full-time starter until the age of 29. But he really took advantage of it. 6-time Vezina winner, the best goalie in the NHL. And he is a 2-time MVP, which can only be said, an MVP can only be said about 6 goalies in NHL history. 2-time MVP can only be said about 1 goalie in NHL history, and that's Dominik Hasek. He's a 2-time Stanley Cup winner, one of the best to ever do it. Really, one of the first guys to ever wear a mask, by the way, which is weird to think about. Kind of made he was like one of the first goalies to say, it'd be nice if we had something blocking our face because these things hurt, which is awesome. But he also kind of brought light to the butterfly stance in hockey as opposed to more of the stand-up position. Whenever it comes to playing goalie, he really brought light to a different play style whenever it came to goalie, and it really paid off for him. Like I said, 6 times he was the best goalie in the NHL. He had 6 shutouts in a single postseason back in the 80s. I mean, he's just absolutely phenomenal. Dominik Hasek, had to give him some love, so that would be my number 3.
And those are great. But going back to Gordie Howe for a second, because I just had a thought that just popped up in my head really quick. But when you think of Gordie Howe, and I think
how do you not think of him?
well, hold on. When I think of Gordie Howe, and then I think of baseball, and if you're trying to compare him to somebody in baseball, doesn't he kind of remind you of like the Babe Ruth of hockey?
Sure.
I mean,
I've never thought about it.
yeah, no,
I've never tried to compare players between sports because there is only a GOAT in one sport. So I don't think about comparing the rest of them.
No, I'm not saying that Babe Ruth was the GOAT. I'm not saying that Gordie Howe
No, I
was
understand.
the GOAT,
I'm saying there's Wayne Gretzky, and then there's every other athlete.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. But no, it was just a thought that popped in my head.
Gordie Howe is not like Emilio Bonifacio, but
no, definitely not.
He's pretty good. I mean, he's pretty good.
Emilio Bonifacio.
He's not like Jeff Weaver, okay?
Right.
He's not like Kenyon Middleton, okay? But he's pretty good.
All right, Vic. So since you had to stop there, go ahead and jump in now and finish. Go ahead and finish your list.
Yeah, get a dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Not fun.
My dog's quiet. Anyway, Guy Lafleur.
Guy Lafleur. Number 2, and I don't know how none of yous did this, being all hockey guys and all. Patrick Waugh. I mean, come on.
Patrick Waugh was a great goalie.
Come on. The dude was amazing. And I consider him the best goalie in history. Okay?
Rest in peace.
20 years. 20 years. He won over 500 games. Played over 1,000. So he's 500, which is good for hockey. Patrick Waugh. Do I have another? Oh, I have another. Oh, yeah.
There's
and just because I like saying the name, and he's pretty badass. Jaromir Jagr. Pittsburgh Penguins. That's all I know. I like him.
That's all I got.
Jagr. I like
He's going to help you out. Second all time in points history, in NHL history and points.
So
I'm aware.
Right.
I don't want to show all my cards at once, Will. I want to hold stuff back.
Yeah, I got you.
Because we do have people that commented that like the choice of Gordie Howe, and we even had somebody who said Sidney Crosby, but no, I'm not going to put him in top. I'm not.
Okay,
putting
like
you
you
say
said, it's an opinionated thing.
No.
Just
I mean, it's an opinion. Well,
absolutely.
So if we
I
were
agree
doing
on that, but
if we were doing top 10, I mean, you could go Sidney Crosby and you could go Alex Ovechkin. Like there's many.
Alex Ovechkin's in top 10 for sure.
Yeah, there's many other players
Or
you
you
could pick,
could go
but we had to
Tommy
pick 3. So
Could go.
and that's why I like that topic, because you could only pick 3, but there's so many to pick from. That's what makes that topic so fun, is because there's so many.
Yep.
And so, Lisa,
And you're welcome that I didn't go all Mighty Ducks on here.
Just
I
to
could have gone
clarify-
Julie
Just to clarify, Lisa, if you want to put Sidney Crosby in your top 3, you know what? That's fine. That's fine, because that is your opinion, and I'm okay with that.
She's just saying, hey, now, because I said that everybody has an opinion. Theirs just happens to be wrong.
Oh yeah.
She's kind of jumping me a little bit. And Lisa, it's not personal, okay? It's not.
Yeah.
I'm a Lightning guy. I'm not going to like your Penguins. It's okay.
All right. So now, of course, our last thing that we do
I won
tonight is we have Ace's mini game. But this is the funny thing: is Vic, don't worry, you're not going to be stuck with picking a bunch of lousy teams like you did.
God, thank you.
Yeah, you already have the lousy teams. Now you're just picking lousy players.
I couldn't handle that again, man.
We're not doing that today.
Oh,
Okay. Yay!
We're doing that Wednesday. We're
get
doing
that
that
out of here.
Wednesday. Yeah. No, we're going to actually do something a little different. So we are doing overrated, underrated, or just about right, but we're actually doing it baseball style. We're doing it MLB style. We're not doing it NFL.
Oh, I love it.
I like it.
So that's why I said we changed it up just a little bit with the game of this. So
Vic's teams are just about right.
just about right.
All 6 of her teams that she chose last week or on Wednesday, they were just about right.
Keep it up,
All right.
Will.
So J-Mac, I'm going to go ahead I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to say overrated, underrated, or just about right. And the first name I'm going to ask you is Andrew McCutchen. Overrated, underrated, or just about right?
I think
Is it
now
me?
he's. I think
Is it me? No.
No,
Okay.
J-Mac.
I think currently he's a little overrated now. Obviously, he's a former MVP, so MVP seasons and before that in Pittsburgh, he definitely was underrated, but he's a little overrated now. He's a little old, not the same player he once was. So I think now that they kind of this is one of our premier players in Andrew McCutchen, and it's just not that way anymore. And you could see it in him. He's lost a step a little bit. Doesn't hit as well as he used to. So yeah, he's a little overrated right now.
Will, go ahead.
I'm with words. I'm with Brandon Herrera on this one in the comment section. He said just about right, and honestly, I'm right there with him. I don't think anybody really expects much out of Andrew McCutchen right now. Whenever it comes to underrated, overrated, everything like that, it comes with expectation. The guy's 34. I think he's coming up on 10 years since his MVP season. I don't expect that out of Andrew McCutchen anymore. He's an aging outfielder. I expect him to give me about 250, 260. And I mean, the price tag doesn't say 250, 260, but you're paying him for what he was. Understandably so, because you're not getting it anymore. But I'd say he's just about right. He's given me exactly what I expect out of Andrew McCutchen, and that's being an average baseball player.
All right, the Vic.
Oh, well, let me tell you a little story about Andrew McCutchen.
Oh, let's hear it. Yes.
Andrew Stephen McCutchen.
Stephen
plays for the Philadelphia Phillies, which are poop. I liked him when he was with the Pirates. I didn't understand the San Francisco thing or the Yankees thing.
Yeah, that was awkward.
That was a little off there. I mean, he's making $14 million, and for making $14 million, I don't care who you are, he's overrated. The numbers he's putting up are not worth $14 million a year. But in baseball, I mean, you can make $100 million a year and still suck. So I mean, he's a center fielder, so he's supposed to have the power and the speed. And back in the Pittsburgh days, he was amazeballs. But now that he's declining, he's getting older. He's 34 now, I think.
Yep.
In 2019, he had played in 59 games, and that was a full season. And he only played in 59 games. Had 10 homers. Overrated, totally overrated. Paying too much, making too much money, and I don't like the Phillies, so that's it.
Well, you got to think Andrew McCutchen is basically getting paid that money now because of the name. That's pretty much what it is because of the name. But we know now he's definitely not that same guy that he was then.
Well, I mean, he got that contract after that awkward Giants and Yankees season, and he put up like 250 and 20 bombs.
Well, I mean, but that's why I said name.
MLB's got funny money. They just kind of throw around money at whoever wants it. So, yeah, I mean, I understand the legacy a little bit, but 20 home runs, I mean, yeah, you're going to pay that guy some money. And he only got 1 year guaranteed. He had 2 years of options in that contract. Mm-hmm. So I would be shocked to see him be a free agent after this season. But I don't expect anything out of him. So for me, he's just about right.
Well, yeah, and so that's what I'm saying too. Like when you look at it now, obviously now with the era that we're in, you're gonna look at him and be like, "Oh, this guy hits 20 plus home runs. I want him." But then back then, you would be like, "But he's batting at 250. I don't want him on my team."
It's what Chris Davis has done his whole career.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care that this guy's hitting 20 home runs. He's only batting at 250. I don't want the guy. He's not getting on base. And that's what it was then. It's way different now.
That's 247 every year, but hits 50 bombs. And everybody's like, yep, sign him up again.
Yeah, that's why they want it. All right, so our next one, overrated, underrated, or just about right. Will, you can go ahead and start with this one. We're going by the guy with the name of Nelson Cruz.
Ooh.
Underrated. Oh, criminally. The guy's 40 and leads the league in home runs every year. He's aging so beautifully. He's become a better player as he's getting older.
He's just beautiful.
He's such a gorgeous man. He should really take a pay cut and join the Rays and make them a great team, because that would entertain me. But if not, if the National League still has a DH, come to St. Louis, take a pay cut there, and come get third in the division. But no, underrated. I think. Well, actually, I mean, yeah, underrated. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm not gonna turn away from it. That was my first thought easily. Yeah, you shouldn't be 40 years old and have this kind of production. There's no reason for it. He's still good in a full season. He's still good for 35 plus, typically in the 40s. He's a phenomenal bat, but at the end of the day, he's a DH. That's all he does. So he does what he's supposed to do, and he does it very well. He's just like a one-team wonder. He just kind of hops around team to team. Yeah. He was comfortable there in Minnesota for a little bit, but then before that, he was doing the little Octavio Dotel tour and just hitting up every single MLB team, or the Edwin Jackson tour, however you want to look at it. But yeah, no, I would go with underrated for Nelson Cruz. He's a guy that even at 40, I'd still welcome on my team for sure.
Which is funny because that was actually something I was going to say too, that Nelson Cruz for multiple years, he's gone from team to team to team. He goes and signs 1-year deals, and then he leaves, goes to another team, signs a 1-year deal, leaves and goes to another team. But he's also the guy that at his age, 4 consecutive seasons has hit 40-plus home runs. So and if he does it again this year, that'll be 5 consecutive seasons. I'm not counting last year because that was a short season, so you can't count that. But with full seasons, 40-plus home runs, 4 consecutive years at his age. This could be 5 consecutive years.
And hopefully he'll do it on a different team, because don't go back to Minnesota. They get eliminated in the first round every year.
All right. Levic, what do you think?
Underrated. Nelson Cruz is just wowza. His 8 years in Texas got him up and running. Went to Seattle, went to Baltimore for a year. Don't really talk about Baltimore. Had a good season, and that earned him a nice big contract with Seattle. And dude, over the 4 years he was there, 44 homers, 43, 39, 37. I mean, the dude's a walking phenomenon. Girls dig the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball. And we do. We dig the long ball. In 2019, hit 41 homers for Minnesota. He basically, MVP. He should have been MVP. He was MVP of that team for sure. Yeah, he needs to go to American League team that'll keep him in the playoffs longer than Minnesota does. For my sake, I hope he stays in Minnesota, so at least I get something out of it.
No, he didn't sign. He didn't sign before you took the Twins, so he's just a free agent out there. You got to sign.
Cut into my time. Well.
Oh, sorry.
But I hope, I could see him. I don't know. I want him to stay in Minnesota. I think that's a great fit with Josh Donaldson and him back to back. He's so underrated. It's horrible. He deserves big time kudos. The man he's getting better with age. I mean, he's 40? I think we said he was 40. Is that how old he is? Something like that?
Yeah, he's 40.
40, yeah.
I mean, at 40 years old and you're still popping those numbers, power to you, buddy. Right. You're rocking it.
All right, Dan Mac, what do you
underrated?
Yeah, I'm with them. Underrated. He's one of those guys that's just flown under the radar his whole career. I don't know how. You look up his stats. I don't know how he's not been considered for an MVP, or made more money, or been on a better team. It's unreal. As underrated as he is, for sure. For all those reasons and many, many more that we could go on about, but very, very grossly underrated player.
Yeah, it's funny too, because when you look at the last time Baltimore went to the playoffs, Nelson Cruz was on that team. And that was his 1-year deal there. And if I remember right too, the last time that Milwaukee went, Nelson Cruz was there. And so it's like wherever he's jumping.
That was dumb, doesn't it?
Huh?
Tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like, he's jumping from, and no matter where he goes, these teams are making the playoffs. So this next one, we're going to actually jump to pitcher status on this one. And the pitcher that I'm going to ask on this one, I'll start with the Vic. So, Vic, we're going to go with Dallas Keuchel.
Oh,
Overrated, underrated.
Dallas Keuchel. Dallas. We loved your year you had with us in Atlanta. We definitely liked you. But your best years were when you were in Houston. I think right now he's not the ace anymore. Nobody's expecting 90,000 mile per hour fastballs or no hitters. I think he's just about right where he's at. He's 33. He's had his big moments, and like I said, his best time was when he was in Houston. He was just unhittable at one point in there in Houston. Definitely, he's just about right. I don't expect him to go out and throw me, a no hitter or a shutout anymore, because he's has to change his pitching perspective. I mean, he's getting older, he's losing the speed. Just like, you got to readjust yourself. Like Felix Hernandez has to change the way he pitches because he can't throw the speed anymore. Dallas Keuchel has to do the same thing. So we loved you in Atlanta. You were great, and being there earns you a big contract in Chicago because you had that great year. So just about right.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting with Dallas Keuchel because he won the Cy Young one time, and then after he won that Cy Young, everyone's like, oh, I want this guy. But that was really, when you think about it, that was really the only great season that Dallas Keuchel really had. All right, so J-Mac and Chile, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's just about right. He's not the ace anymore, but you look at what teams are paying for a fourth and fifth guy in the rotation now. I mean, they're paying, 12, 13, 14, $15 million a year for a guy that is the fourth or fifth starter on a team. And so that's not out of the realm of possibility for him to be in that spot right now. And he's had some good years, but I think his best years are behind him. He could still be a very serviceable starter, though. Let's not forget that a quality start in Major League Baseball is considered 6 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. So that's a 4.50 ERA. So anything under a 4.50 is considered above average as far as a pitcher, and he'll be right there. So, yeah, just about right. He's going to come in, eat some innings up for you, get some guys out, give you a good chance to win the game.
All right, Will.
Yeah, I love that ERA stat that 450 is considered quality because other than since he won his Cy Young, he's only had 1 year in which he's been above that. He kind of hovers around the mid threes. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, he was like sub 2. He was phenomenal last year in a shortened season. If that's the Dallas Keuchel we're going to get, he's underrated. But realistically, where he's been sitting over the last couple of years, I'd say he's just about right. If not just about right, honestly, I'd still almost lean a little bit underrated just because I feel like people get like they've immediately thrown Dallas Keuchel out. Like I feel like a lot of casual fans have just kind of gotten rid of Dallas Keuchel. Like they just pretend he's not good anymore, and he's still very, very good. I mean, he's still a number 2 out in Chicago right now behind Giolito, and they were a playoff team last year. I mean, and if he pitches like he has been pitching out of a number 2 spot, you're still going to get a playoff spot in Chicago, especially for how their lineup's loaded. I really like Dallas Keuchel. I think that he's still got plenty of game in him. I think he'll be around for a little bit, and he is changing his game a little bit. I mean, he was never the blow you away guy with the fastball. He's always been more of the slow stuff, take a little bit off of it, and those guys usually stick around for a while. So, yeah, I like Dallas Keuchel. I'd say just about right, leaning towards like underrated.
So I will say the one thing that I can kind of agree with you on that, and because I was kind of one of those guys for a while that after Dallas Keuchel won that Cy Young award, I think we look at that and we go, okay, now that he won a Cy Young award, now we expect him to do that every single season. And so that's kind of put a lot on somebody to expect him to put up those numbers every single year after you win the Cy Young Award, because realistically, there's only a handful of pitchers that are going to actually do it every single year on a consistent basis. So I think that's why it's so hard to look at that and be like, yeah, he's overrated because of that. And that's why it's not fair to say that. But now going into our last person for overrated, underrated, or just about right. It's the last one. And I know on this one we're going to have differing opinions. And I know where the Vic is going to go on this one, obviously. J-Mac and Chili, I know how he's felt about him before. I don't know if he still feels the same about him now. And Will, it's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say. So, Vic, you're going to like this name as soon as I say it. You're going to be like, dang it. Nick Markakis.
Oh, my God.
Yep, exactly. I knew she was going to make that face. So, J-Mac and Chili, I know what you've told me before. So you go ahead. I want to see if you have the same opinion now as you did before.
Well, let's just face it. He's just about right, but last year he's a little underrated. Like he opted out for the season, came back, played very well. A lot of people are going to tell you he hasn't played well in his career, but he's the active leader, I believe, in hits right now. I mean, he's a guy that and doubles. He's the active leader in doubles. This is a guy that can hit the ball. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs. You know, he's going to hit 10, 15 bombs a year, which isn't a lot, but he's a very, very good outfielder. He's gonna rake. I mean, he's gonna come up and go 280, 290, 300 every single season. So just about right, but a little underrated in my opinion, because very, very good guy right in the middle of your lineup, or towards the top of the lineup, be able to get on base, let guys drive runs in. That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Will Polston.
Yeah, I'm right there with J-Mac, honestly, like almost word for word. I'm at just about right, leaning towards underrated on that. He's been a king of consistency his whole career. I mean, the guy is a very consistent hitter. He is somebody you want in your lineup, even as a veteran presence now. Last year, he was in the 250s, 260s, somewhere in that range. On a shortened season, even shorter for him, like you said, opted out, came back in later on. And that's like the lowest mark he's ever had in his career. He's like J-Mac said, he's always about 270 above. I mean, you know exactly what you're getting out of Nick Markakis, and you can't say that about a lot of people who came into the league when they were in their low 20s, 21, 22, somewhere in that area, and then now playing 10, 15 years later. 10, he's not that old. But playing 10, 50, maybe he has been in the league 15 years. Somewhere around there. He's about 36, 38, somewhere in that range. But yeah, no, Nick Markakis, honestly, he's just about right, but he's a little underrated. The casual MLB fan will hate him. They don't see anything special in him. He doesn't hit the ball out. He's not the guy to bring in run production, but he's the get on base and score guy, and that's just as important as everything else. So yeah, Nick Markakis underrated a little bit.
But I think why some Braves fans, but I wasn't one of them, but I know why some Braves fans were probably upset with him last year. And it's not for the opting out thing, but it was like once he reached the playoffs, he wasn't the same player. He struggled mightily in the playoffs last year. And so I think that's why a lot of Atlanta fans were upset. But you can't really hold that on the guy because his whole career he's been consistent. And so one postseason series or basically one stretch in the playoffs doesn't make or break whether a guy is underrated or overrated. And I'm pretty sure I know where the Vic is going with this. So the Vic, if you tell me overrated, like I think you're going to say, give me a reason other than because he struggled in the playoffs last year. You got to give me something more than that.
I'm not going to say overrated. He's not overrated. So Nicholas William Markakis and I, we have a tumultuous relationship. During the regular season, he's a doubles machine. He gets on base. He's solid. He's somewhat dependable in the outfield. Can't make the amazing play, but he's in right field. So that's where they hide people. that can't play the outfield sometimes. Bryce Harper. I mean, he's a career, has like almost 2,400 hits in his career, so the dude can rake. There's no question about that. My issue is with him; it just comes down to the playoffs, and he doesn't show up in the playoffs. I think, as far as how I would rate him during the regular season, he is underrated. They put him behind Freddie, which was a good spot for him because he's not in the playoffs was a good spot for him. But during the playoffs, he's I don't know. He's just got to show up. So overall in his career, he's underrated, and I think he's gonna stick with Atlanta. Sorry, get a dog. They said it'll be fine. No, not because there's a raccoon on the porch. So yeah, I would say I say underrated as far as people don't think they know what he can do, but they still pitch to him. He still gets the hits. He still gets on base, and he plays a decent outfield. So I'm not going to say he's underrated. That's my take.
All right, that's a great take. Okay, so that was our last topic of the night. Was actually our little mini game that we play. So J-Mac, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you. And hold on, before we do that, actually, Nate, go ahead and pull up Anchor a little bit. And J-Mac, tell us a little bit about Anchor.
Yeah, Anchor. So all of our lives, if you can't watch them, they're all downloaded Anchor. You can listen to them. Long drive, couple lunch breaks, whatever you want. Especially this episode should be on there in a couple of days, and you can listen to that if you can't watch it. And also, if you want to get into what we're doing, start your own podcast, they got all the tools there available. So you hit Anchor up. It's anchor.fm.com.
All right. And then, Will, tell us one last time how you can win one of those free T-shirts.
Just be down there in the comment section. If you're here live with us tonight, we want to thank everybody who was down in the comment section. But if you guys keep that up, you're going to be every single comment, every like, every share, everything like that is going to be tallied up at the end of the month. And that will help your chances of winning the January Viewer of the Month. And that person will earn themselves a free ASAP Network t-shirt. And then if you may have missed this episode, maybe you're listening on Anchor. Maybe you're just catching it live. Maybe you're a little bit too shy to be in the comment section. That's okay. You can go ahead and message one of us here on the network or anybody else that's here, part of ASAP, and go ahead and message one of us. We'll get you a very own t-shirt for $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Size is small to 2X. Might go a little bit up for the big boy, big girl sizes. That's okay. I relate with you. I understand. I had to pay extra for mine. But, hey, fits just great. Love it. Everything like that. $14.99 shipping and handling will get you your very own ASAP Network t-shirt ASAP.
All right. And then last but not least, J-Mac, you got 30 seconds to go ahead and say whatever it is you have left to say.
Well, I mean, we put it all out there tonight with a phenomenal show. I enjoy doing this with you guys. I would not rather do this with anyone else. Got to let you know that. And just say lots of great sports going on. You got the NFC championships tomorrow, but we got all kinds of stuff coming up. You got the women's college basketball. There is going to be softball before too long, and spring training for baseball. It's all coming. Hockey's upon us. So lots of great sports. Get out there and watching. Appreciate y'all.
I'm
sorry. Brandon just got me.
What did Brandon say?
And then Will, I'm waiting on my fatty fat
t-shirt. Aren't we all?
All right, and then Will, you got 30 seconds to say whatever it is you got to say.
30 seconds. So no person is worth only just 30 seconds, and I want to make that clear. But we lost a legend in Hank Aaron, Mr. Henry Louis Aaron. Lost him this week since the last episode on January 22nd. A legend of the game, everything, just a phenomenal baseball player, one of the best to ever do it. Rest in peace. T's and P's out to the Aaron family, and hoping for the best. But can't wait to be back Wednesday. Everything like that. But we lost a good one this week, so rest in peace.
All right, Vic, you got 30 seconds.
Thanks for stealing my 30-second topic, Will.
You did it. Somebody did it for me for Don Sutton. So I'm getting.
Yeah,
I'm getting it
okay, yeah. This month's been rough for Braves fans. I mean, we lost Phil, we lost Ston, and now we lost, home run king Henry. So it's been a rough month for Braves fans and baseball fans all over. I mean, come on. Henry Aaron was just unstoppable. He's a great guy. And, that's it. Just Braves fans. Oh, and shout out to Cyrus Abibilikio, Oregon Duck running back, entered the transfer portal today. My favorite play of you is when you tackled the streaker on the field during a game. That was fantastic. Wish you luck wherever you go, man. You were the great. You're the best. And I'm done.
All right. And then, of course, last but not least, thank you everybody for watching. It was another fantastic episode of Sports Minute. You will see us again on Wednesday for another episode of Sports Minute. Tomorrow is the pregame show. I keep forgetting that tomorrow's Sunday. I don't even know why I keep spacing it, but tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow night, we have another episode of Between the Ropes. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day tomorrow. Enjoy the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship game. And then, of course, for me, I got to watch my Red Wings play the Blackhawks in the morning. I have to watch it. The game's on at 9:30, so I got to watch that game. Good. All right. So everybody have a fantastic night, and we will see you guys on Wednesday for another episode of Sports Minute. Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the diamond in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.